Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Breathedge tutorial guide. Today, pretty much a starter beginner's guide to show you the first steps of Breathedge. It's coming out on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and it's already on Steam. It's been there for 3 years in early access, but it's finally come out at 1.0. It's a challenging space survival simulation game, maybe a little bit like Subnautica, but with a lot more humour. And of course, instead of water and aquatic monsters, you've got space and lots of coffins and dead bodies. Effectively, you have to survive and try and get yourself to the evacuation point at various stages, going through different chapters as you progress and survive against the cold, radiation, keeping your oxygen levels up, as well as food and water. You're going to be scavenging lots of supplies and resources to craft new items and equipment. So here is just a little brief, quick beginner's guide to Breathedge. If you do find it useful, bang a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed for the best in survival games news, guides and tutorials. Let's go. So after a fairly lengthy intro where you'll probably cry your eyes out over your dead grandpa and possibly wonder why the broccoli is taking over the world, things go sideways pretty quickly. Your ship, your liner has crashed or something's gone on, and now it's up to you to survive with the help of your chicken companion, with possibly the ultimate aim of maybe getting your granddad's coffin back. The first task you're going to have is stopping the oxygen leak or the gas leak, and no, you can't use your chicken no matter how many times you try. Eventually it's all going to just come out the wrong way. A bit of chewing gum later and you'd have stopped the gas leak, and that's when we're really going to begin on me showing you how to survive. Now there are some more extra information you can find in the menus, and they've got a nice little directory of items, and there's a little narrator that gives you little advice and tells you exactly what's going on. I did find the narrator though goes pretty quickly and you can often miss out on crucial information. But just a brief teaching you how to suck an egg. If the game is too hard, you can always change the game mode to something a bit easier. There are 4 different game modes at the start of the game. It's also really advisable that you save the game often yourself. There is an autosave, but if you want extra save points just so you can test some stuff out, then yeah, make sure you go into the options menu and save your game regularly. Just like every survival game, go in, pick up absolutely everything. You'll find alcohol and resources and components that you'll need to craft into other stuff, and you'll also find a bunch of things that may seem a bit useless at first. Alright, I'll lie, some of this stuff really is useless, but there are some helpful things, like a videotape that will go through the basics of survival, so make sure you watch that if you're having a hard time. As you might expect, there's lots of things in space that can kill you. The major number one though, of course, is running out of oxygen. Pay attention to your bar. Now you can get upgrades and you can make yourself little oxygen candles, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But if you do run out of oxygen, you are going to die and you're going to have to reload from your last save point or your manually created one. But that's not the only way you can die. If you've paid attention to the video, electricity also is a number 2 killer. Everywhere you go, you're going to find lots of electrical cables that could do you damage. Some can be just avoided, others you will need to plug with a chicken. Last 2 types of elemental damage you need to worry about are, of course, cooling liquids, which will make you freeze and your screen completely freeze up, and then you've got radiation. Now these often go hand in hand. You'll come across an area with these big huge blue icicle style blobs floating through space. Well, that usually means there's radiation nearby. You can see the radiation bar popping up on the right hand side at the bottom. You can see it says big stop, and I'm already about 1/10 of the way there. So you may need some upgrades for your suit before you go and explore some of the deeper radiation spots. Likewise, if you get a warning or you see the little blue frost symbol on the bottom right hand side, be careful that you're not about to become a space icicle. Your screen will slowly get covered in ice, so you may want to think about getting to warmer areas. Now I don't necessarily want this to be a video on how to play it, but there are a bunch of things you need to do at the back of your ship, basically establishing communications. Whether it's the antenna or then finding a steering wheel, you're pretty much going to have to do that a lot, so make sure you check the back of your ship if you're a bit lost about what to do, and the console inside, that's the first thing you're going to need to repair. So of course Breathedge is a survival game. Not only have you got to worry about oxygen, you do need to worry about food and water, but it's not as punishing as you may think. There's plenty of these little goblets of water and food lying around, and you just got to make sure you pick up bunches of them. Just don't think too hard about exactly where this goo is coming from. You can also pick up various types of goo like honey, and you can use this to make a sweet package which gives you 40 food, but it does take away 5 water. These larger ice blocks you can break with a scrapper and get lots of water as well. Alright, technically it's ice, but you get the idea. In a good hour and a bit of playing, I only needed to eat and drink maybe twice. The nutrition package, you're going to need the goo and a little bit of ice, and then the water is 2 ices. The bog standard food one's going to give you 25 food and the water will give you 30. I'm playing this on standard mode though, so maybe the hardcore mode will be a bit more difficult with food and water. So your health will be whittled away by running out of oxygen, but you can replenish it by sleeping in your bed. You just got to be careful that you don't run out of food and water while sleeping. To really help you progress, make sure you make all the tools as quickly as possible. I'm going to show you how to get all the resources for them too. Scrapper's the easiest one to make, but you're going to need lots of them as it only has durability of 35, so you need 3 metal. It took me a little while to find some metal. I didn't realise it was these tiny little balls. They weren't just ice or food, it was actually little metal balls. So pick all of these up whenever you can, and then once you get a scrapper you can attack the orange and white much larger balls, and that'll also give you small bits of metal to take too. Whenever you see durability on a weapon like this, it pretty much means you can have that many hits. So the scrapper's got 35 durability, that means I can swing it 35 times and trying to break something. Normally the damage is anywhere between 2 and 3 each time. So for your drill, you'll get the blueprint on the table, and whenever you pick a blueprint up, you'll automatically learn it. You can then go and put it in storage so it doesn't take up one of your spaces. The drill needs refined metal, battery and thick electrical tape. Now refined metal you can make yourself when you click on resources. You just need 4 pieces of normal metal. Definitely recommend keeping normal metal around, don't make it all into refined, as a lot of the early items do need just basic metal. For the batteries, eventually you'll be able to make your own out of metal and alkali, but for now you'll be going and attacking lots of boxes to try and get hold of some. You find various types of these boxes floating all around, so make sure you go and hit them as they're often filled with lots of resources you need. To make the thick electrical tape you're going to need rubber. You'll normally find a piece inside the cabin, but after that you're going to need to go and maybe get some from salvaged parts of the ships. It's a bit of a process getting some of this stuff, as you're going to need another tool to get the rubber, which is shears. We'll come to that in a second, but you can see I've just managed to get some of the rubber from the flooring, so pay attention to your environment. It's going to cost you 2 pieces of rubber to make 1 thick electrical tape. Once crafted, you can then use your drill to go and get aluminium. You'll find aluminium deposits on these little white asteroids, usually 2 or 3 of them, and you can go ahead and then just start extracting. It will usually use up 5 of your durability of your drill, which normally has 18, to get 1 little deposit. Again, it took me a while to realise this is where you get aluminium, so don't make the mistake I did. Go and get the drill and go and get some quick. So for the shears you're going to need metal times 3, some wire and scissors. That's why you shouldn't really chuck anything away until you definitely know you don't need it. Now you can get wire in boxes and just laying around, but you'll also find it at the end of these pipes sprouting out. I did find rubber a little bit harder to get hold of, so make sure you craft the shears as early as possible so you can gain more. Now the grabber itself I've not really used that much in early game, but you need refined metal, battery, aluminium and wire, and obviously it says that it's useful for getting stuff out of smaller holes. So the scanner, you're going to need a light bulb, metal, battery and plastic. Again, just below you, maybe to the right hand side of your ship, you'll find this pink purpley area and there's some light bulbs. You need to go down here and, yep, get the light bulbs from the lamps. So whenever you come across a funny scene like this one where someone has actually killed this dude, maybe for cheating on someone else with the actual light shade, don't think it's just there for comedy value. There's usually some sort of brand new resource you need to collect. Although I don't know how I'm going to use these Viagra pills. Now if you're looking for plastic, you can also find it sprouting at the end of certain pipes. It's this black gooey liquid, and that's all the stuff you need to make your scanner. The scanner will get you through certain doors, but it'll also scan new items so that you can make new things like first aid kits. A lot of these tools you won't be able to craft or make until you find the resources for them, and then it will pop up with the blueprint, or you'll find the blueprint directly itself. The last basic tool you might want to craft is the flashlight, which you're going to need a light bulb, some plastic and a battery. You'll find the flashlight blueprint on a dead body on this symbol in the distance. So if you go over to here, be careful, there is a bit of radiation or cold frost damage nearby as well, but you should see it on the front of his body, and that's how you get the blueprint for the flashlight. Now there's various things that you might need to craft to progress the story and unlock new stuff. Imposed by the developers, this is just a piece of crap, but there are other stuff like workstations that you need. Part of them workstations, which you'll put so you can make progress throughout the area, is oxygen stations, which you need oxygen candle, thick electrical tape and aluminium. You do need the blueprint for these first though, and you usually get that by discovering one. You'll find the blueprint for the oxygen maker just below you in the debris. Along the way you'll also find this. It's not a condom maker, it is in fact an oxygen balloon. And this is where you'll find the blueprint for the oxygen candles, as well as being able to make your own oxygen balloon. Finally, a use for all them condoms you've been hoarding. Effectively, using the oxygen balloon is just a separate little crafting station that you can then fill up your oxygen candles on. So it's kind of what you'll be using as you progress to keep yourself in oxygen when you go to further places. So yeah, make sure you go all the way below your ship, just head down and you should find both of these locations right next to each other. This will also be where you're going to use your scanner, or you could just wait on the door, but that's going to use up a lot of durability for your scrappers and you'll need a bunch of them. It's much better and more economical to use the scanner. You'll have plenty of oxygen in these areas. As long as it's intact, it gives you oxygen in and around this area. So once you've got it back to base, you can go ahead and make this. You know how to get aluminium and thick electrical tape now, and then you'll be able to put this in certain areas and make yourself another mini base. Bear in mind though, it does look like these are one-time use only, so once you've actually equipped it on something or in an area, you won't be able to take it off and use it again. You'll have to craft a new one. After you've crafted all the tools, you might see lots of waypoints in the distance, but they seem way too far. They probably are. You're going to need to craft lots of the oxygen candles and maybe scout around to see if there's anywhere where you can make an oxygen tank base or mini setup, a sort of outpost on the way. In some of these further areas as well, once you've got the drill, you will be able to get yourself some paint. Now you can get paint from these paint canisters, these actual doorways. You'll literally just drill into it and get yourself a few parts. And you'll also need to analyse certain things that are happening, like dead bodies. Once you've neutralised this electricity here for this one, you're going to need this guy's eye so you can open up a safe. This effectively is another way that you'll get some harder resources like paint early on, as well as some extra stuff. Now paint doesn't seem that important, but of course it is once you combine it to make lead paint, which is going to help you with radiation and keep you warm enough in some of the colder areas. I'm going to cover all that though in a part 2 beginner's guide once we start upgrading our space suit and everything else we need to get to the next chapter. And there you go guys, that is just a brief quick guide to crafting, the food basics and the dangers that you'll face in your first hour or so of Breathedge. There's a fair amount still to cover and items that you may have discovered already. I haven't gone through lots of the wreckage, but I thought I'd just put this together right now because I definitely think it's helpful, as I probably spent far too long just wondering about where to go or what to get. Just keep making regular trips, go and investigate every little waypoint that seems near enough and craft as many of the oxygen candles as you can. Until part 2, I'll see you right back later. Oh yeah, and don't forget to check out my Let's Play of this game as well. Until next time.